Lewis Hamilton, Sir Lewis Hamilton, the most successful driver in the history of Formula One. Most race wins, joint most World Drivers' Championships, most pole positions. The records go on and on and on. It's actually mad to think that the most successful driver in F1 history grew up only half an hour away from where I live. But the man causes divide in the F1 fan base like no other driver. It seems to be you're either a Hamilton lover or a Hamilton hater. There is no in between. So today I thought I'd do something that I've never done before. Make a video about the man himself. This is the truth about Sir Lewis Hamilton. Before we get into it though, if you do enjoy this video, then I would really appreciate it if you gave it a like and subscribe to the channel. But that's enough waffling. Let's get chairs to prepare for everyone in the comments and get on with it. The amazing thing about Lewis's story is that it even happened at all. It's well known that he didn't exactly come from the wealthiest of backgrounds, and his dad had to work 3 jobs just for Lewis to be able to race in karts. And he also said, speaking to Gran Turismo, that he got a PlayStation for Christmas one year, I'm assuming a PS1, but the family had to sell it in order for him to buy the helmet that he wanted. Over 20 years later, he's getting the PS5 sent to him by PlayStation themselves. It's safe to say that if Hamilton was starting his karting career now, he would have probably never even got close to Formula 1 because of the lucrative funds required. A season of Formula 4 now costs €650,000, which is just ridiculous. But when Lewis approached Ron Dennis for an autograph at the age of 9, he said what is probably the most important quote of his entire career. "Hi, I'm Lewis Hamilton. I won the British Championship and one day I want to be racing your cars." To which Ron wrote in Lewis's autograph book, "Phone me in 9 years, we'll sort something out then." It took only 4 years for Dennis to phone Hamilton back and offer him a place in the McLaren Young Driver programme. This changed everything. With the funding of McLaren behind him, he can now go and build his reputation and let the world know just who he was. If Ron Dennis signs you at 13 years old, you must be pretty good. So now let's have a look at the criticism Hamilton gets and see if any of it is justified. I'm going to be sticking to the on-track criticism in this video, as the stick he gets off-track is so pathetic I'm not even going to address it. There is one piece of criticism specifically in mind that we have gotten all too used to hearing. It's just the car. This is such a baseless argument that has no real valid substance, but I'll debunk it anyway. I should probably say at this point that after Sebastian Vettel and Mick Schumacher, I am a neutral F1 fan. You don't have to love or hate every single driver on the grid. But with that addressed, we move. Let's have a look at 3 races that debunk this ever popular phrase. Number 1. The GP2 race in Turkey at Istanbul Park in 2006. After starting in 7th place, Hamilton fell down to P8 on lap 1 and spun his ART on lap 2, falling all the way down to P19. If you've somehow not seen this race, you might be thinking, Winchy, why are you using this as an example? It's not exactly off to a good start, is it? Well, let me put it as simple as I can for you. He went from 19th to 2nd, with nearly all places gained being on-track overtakes. That's why this race gets mentioned. And in GP2, which is now F2, all cars are the same, with the only difference being how they are set up by the mechanics or different teams. Will Buxton, F1's main presenter, says he remembers seeing the F1 paddock come to a near standstill just to witness Hamilton's incredible comeback drive. Race number 2, the 2008 British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Going into this race, Lewis was on, and there's another way of putting this, crap form. In just 2 races, he slipped from 1st to 4th in the driver's standings after going into the back of Kimi Raikkonen at the end of pit lane in Canada, and finished only P10 at Magny-Cours in France, which back in 2008 was no point. The British media was starting to jump on the bandwagon of going in on the best sportsman our country has to offer, which is nothing new because that's all they're good at, dragging people richer, more talented and more successful than themselves down. Lewis needed to respond to all of this, and he did just that, with not just his best ever drive, one of the best drives in the history of Formula 1. After qualifying in 4th, he made a lightning start to get up to 2nd after the first corner and overtook his McLaren teammate Heikki Kovalainen for the lead on lap 5. To say he went on to dominate the race in soaking conditions is an understatement. He won by over a minute, the largest victory margin since the 1995 Australian Grand Prix, and at one point was lapping 5 seconds faster than the rest of the pack on the same tyres. When the McLaren team told him over the radio to slow down, his response was, "I'm not pushing." I think I've made my point here, but let's move on to the 3rd and final race, a more recent one, the 2020 Turkish Grand Prix. Back at Istanbul Park once again, Lewis looked almost certain to clinch his 7th World Drivers' title, at the very track he made his name known to the whole world 14 years prior, but this time, it was wet. I don't think it's too controversial to say that the 3 best drivers in wet conditions right now are Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel, and of course Lewis Hamilton. But Vettel had a severe case of the SF1000, and Hamilton beat Verstappen by 1.2 seconds in a wet qualifying in Styria earlier in the year. It should be noted though that Max did lose the car in his final lap in that session, so the gap would have probably been about half a second if he didn't do a half spin. The Mercedes looked even more dominant in wet conditions than in the dry, but Istanbul Park had other ideas. The track was resurfaced prior to the race, and the work was only finished days before F1 arrived. Even in the dry, there was little to no grip, and all the work done by the cars on Friday to rub the track in was rendered useless when it poured down with rain on Saturday, and Mercedes struggled massively as they couldn't get the tyres working, with Hamilton qualifying down in 6th and Valtteri Bottas down in 9th. Sunday didn't see the conditions clear up either, and even with a lightning start to get up to 3rd, Hamilton and the W11 weren't enjoying the conditions, and he fell back to 6th after going off the track at turn 9, which allowed Vettel, Verstappen and Alex Albon through. But as the track started to dry out, what followed was a drive fitting of a 7-time world champion, as he ended up winning by over 30 seconds. A perfect mixture of Turkey 2006 and Britain 2008, and he proved one more time it's not just the car. 90% of world championships have been won with the best car. In fact, I can't think of any off the top of my head that haven't been won with the best car, because the best car isn't just the fastest, but the most reliable. But I think the reason Lewis gets a lot of stick right now is simple. He's still driving, unless he's announced his retirement since I recorded this video. People don't like to see success. It's depressing, but a true fact. Look at Vettel's Red Bull dominance. The way people reacted to that at the time was just pathetic. And now he's not dominating. He's one of the most popular drivers on the grid. I guarantee you that when Lewis Hamilton retires from Formula 1, and Sebastian Vettel as well, they will both be given much more credit. I only started watching in 2007, so if anyone saw the Michael Schumacher dominance live, I'd be interested if you could comment what the reception to that was like at the time. So that was today's video. I probably have triggered quite a few people, but that was fun, wasn't it? Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this video, then I'd really appreciate if you gave it a like and subscribe to the channel. And we now have memberships live on the channel, so if you click that join button for only £2 a month, you get extra benefits. Obviously, you don't have to at all. It's just an option that's there if you want to support me even further. And hopefully, I will see you in the next one. Until next time, goodbye.